Well, welcome in, everybody, to the Farzy Show here at the Steven Singer Studios. My name is Marc Farzetta. How in the hell's bells did the Eagles win that football game? So I coined a phrase a while ago. The phrase is moral losses. We know there's no moral victories, but can there be moral losses? And I'll say this game was kind of trending in that direction for me in terms of just being a loss in general, which is obviously far worse than an actual moral loss. But anyway, an actual loss is far worse than a moral loss. And I'm following this game, and I felt like something big. Like, I'll go back to the Dallas Cowboy game against Ben DiNucci, where the Eagles and Carson Wentz barely performed better than Ben DiNucci. And then I'll also go back to the Giants game last year where the Eagles just played terrible throughout the game, but found a way to win at the end. Boston Scott ended up going bonkers. And that whole game, you felt terrible. Even when they pulled it out at the end, you felt like, oh, okay, they won, so that's cool. But man, no hope for the future. This game didn't feel like that. This game had me frustrated. This game had me angry, but I always felt like the Eagles were within a score of taking over this game. And if you have watched Jalen Hurts at all and learned anything about him throughout this year, you know, with the exception of that Dallas Cowboys game, there's a play to happen late in the game to make you at least feel like you have a chance. You're saying there's a chance. Whatever it might be, whether it be the late touchdown against San Francisco 49ers, whether it be a slew of late touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs, you were 5 points down in the fourth quarter. Offensively speaking, you were getting the job done. Defensively speaking, you were the worst that the Chiefs had seen the entire season. And they just lost last night, by the way, to the Bills. So how about that? But you're looking at this game, you're following this game. And I always felt like the Eagles were in striking distance. And the only reason I felt like they were in striking distance had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts, had nothing to do even with the offense. It had to do with how the defense was playing throughout this game. So hats off, tip your hat, whatever you want to do, to Jonathan Gannon and his defense for being ready to play this football game. They made Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers look like Sam Darnold should look like and look like the Carolina Panthers should look. I mean, you look at how Sam Darnold and this Carolina Panthers team had played throughout the season. And I know you are what your record says you are. There's no evidence to suggest otherwise. You're 3-1, so you're 3-1. However, you're either a solid 3-1 team or you're an adorable 3-1 team. Like, oh, look at you now. You're 3-1. You beat the Jets. You beat the Texans. It's so cute. Look what you guys did. And that's what the Carolina Panthers were. So they were like a solid 3-1 team. They didn't beat anybody all year. So then the Eagles go down to Carolina, and we know what the Eagles are. The Eagles are going to be a team that will be lucky to be 500 this season. I mean, a lot of people, I had 9 wins going into the season. If Jalen Hurts looked like anything special, 10, 11 wins throughout the season. That's what I had him at, and I was over the moon optimistic compared to some other people. But most people, they look at this team as they sit right now, and they go, nothing impressive. And a lot of people didn't even like them to win in this game. I picked them to win this game. My score on Friday, 24-20 was my score for this Eagles game. Also said Darius Slay come up an interception. What's up? How you doing? He had 2. Also said Fletcher Cox have a sack for himself. He had himself a sack. How about that? But enough of that. Going into this game, and a lot of people did not have confidence. I had confidence that they would win this game because I knew the Carolina Panthers hadn't beaten anybody, and they really hadn't impressed me all season long. When it came to the run game, I knew it was going to be hard to establish. So Nick Sirianni comes out in this game. And I am still trying to figure out what the hell his game plan was. Evidently, his game plan, I will say this, whatever it was screen. It was like, hey, should we run a play here? Yeah, what should we do? Screen. Hey, what do we want to do? Say screen. Like, that was all the game plan was. I like keeping things around the line of scrimmage. I guess they didn't think they would be able to establish much of a run against this Carolina Panther defense. So they just tried to keep things around the line of scrimmage. Jalen Hurts looked off, trying to execute the game plan. Wide receivers at times looked like they were confused as all hell. This did not look like a well-coached offensive team. They allow 3 points out of the gate. They're having themselves some struggles as the game got underway. Offense couldn't find that rhythm, but yet the defense continuously found ways to give the offense opportunities. They took away opportunities from Sam Darnold and this Carolina Panthers defense, or in this Carolina Panthers offense. They took away opportunities and they handed opportunities to the Eagles. the more you do that, the more you see a guy like Avonte Maddox down the field break up a play that would have made it 17-3 in favor of the Carolina Panthers in the second quarter. The minute you see plays like that, the minute you see Darius Slay pick off the ball in the first quarter to give the Eagles the ball in the red zone, and then they have another touchdown wiped off because of a penalty by another wide receiver, the minute you start to see those opportunities continuously go to the Eagles is the minute you can start to have confidence that they're going to pull something out at the end of this game. Now, I know a lot of people, if they were betting on the game going in that fourth quarter, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have lost some money if they would have bet on the Eagles to win the game in terms of, they would have felt like they were about to lose some money. There was something about the fact that I knew a score was I knew a score was coming. I knew a score was coming from Jalen Hurts. He was going to engineer a drive, and I know people will look at it as garbage time, but even those garbage time touchdowns or touchdown drives, whatever you want to call them, whether it be against San Francisco, whether it be against Kansas City, hey, I'll take it because that at least is him doing something positive for his own confidence on the football field. And in this particular game, I said, you know what? This is the game to really do it. If you're going to have a fourth quarter touchdown, if you're going to have a late touchdown, this is the game to do it. Make it count. Don't have it be garbage time. Make it be part of a comeback for this team. And that's exactly what they did. Now, the overall biggest play of this game, without question, was the block punt. And I know I usually like to start off the day with the day after a game by talking about how this particular team, this Eagles team, I'll usually give you like 5 people that I really focused on throughout this game, and 5 people that coming out of this game are my takeaways. And we highlighted it as the Farzy 5. Then I need like a Farzy 20 to hit all the points that this game produced, because through 3 quarters, you didn't feel good. You were bracing yourself for that loss. I was expecting something to happen late to at least give them a chance to win this game. Once I saw the block punt, I said, they got this. The Eagles are winning this football game. But throughout the game, I made a list of positives and negatives. And Jalen Hurts is on both lists. And I want to say this. And by the way, coming up in just a minute, we're going to get into our locker room check-in presented by Rothman Orthopaedics. Let you hear from the head coach of this football team. Also let you hear from Jalen Hurts. And I've said this many times already on the show, but I want to stress it one more time before I go into some other things here. Throughout this season, even the preseason and training camp and all that, I have found myself admiring Jalen Hurts. And I know we talk a lot about mental toughness and mental health and all that, and that's good because it should be highlighted. However, I said this about some other people. I said this about Giannis Antetokounmpo in the NBA playoffs. Like, I feel like we should acknowledge the people that should be good role models for people that lack that confidence, that people that lack that mental health, that mental strength. I can say the same thing about Jalen Hurts, and I have said the same thing about Jalen Hurts. Through all the offseason trades, through all the Carson Wentz stuff, even last year, going back with all the, like, this guy just said, to hell with it, I'm above it all. I'm not going to let this stuff drag me down. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to control what I control. That's mental toughness right there. And listening to him in his press conferences, watching him try to fight through some adversity on the football field, as he has even pointed out, self-inflicted wounds, mistakes he's made, but see him continuously come back to be there late in the game to try to put his team in a position to win a game. I admire the hell out of it, both for what I've seen on the football field and what I am absolutely rooting for as a person to be successful. Like, I want Jalen Hurts, the person. Like, I want that mindset. I want that attitude to be in the Eagles locker room for the next 15, 20 years. Like, that goes without question. It's a matter of whether or not where it matters most, what happens on the football field, will also bear fruit in that same regard and also inspire the same confidence. But I am rooting for him hard to win this franchise job, not just a starter job for a year, but to win the job. I'm rooting for him hard to win the job. But I always keep in mind that you have to grade him this year insanely honest, harsh even, because I know that's how the Eagles front office is looking at him. And you can only assume that with some pretty easy evidence here. One is the potential of 3 first-round draft picks coming up here. So you could essentially do whatever you want in the offseason. You could either draft another quarterback, trade up to that number 1, get a quarterback, you could trade for another quarterback, whatever it might be. So the Eagles are going to be looking at him under a very intense and powerful microscope throughout this entire season. So when I go back on this game, or I go back over the course of the season at the end of the year, I'm going to be looking at a lot of the games. For instance, the throws he had against the Chiefs that could have been touchdowns that he ended up missing guys in the end zone. You got to have those throws back, and I'm sure he would want those throws back. In this game, even though the Eagles pulled it out, and I loved what I saw from him late in the game, there are certain mistakes he did make in this game that you just can't make. I honestly don't care if you're making your, eighth start in the NFL. These are things they teach you in Pee Wee. These are things they teach certainly in Alabama or Oklahoma. And a couple of things that we'll highlight right now when it comes to the negative side of Jalen Hurts in this game. Man, you get a free play, and you know you got a free play, and you put it 5 yards out of bounds. Like, that just can't happen. That's bad football. That's Miles Sanders not running out, not staying in bounds late in the game where you have the lead. Egregious. Like that, you at least have to give your team an opportunity to make a play. The safety, look, not his fault that it was a safety because simply it was snapped over his head. And by the way, the Eagles getting a safety recorded on them when they snapped the ball at the 16-yard line, that's impressive. Like, that's like under the stratosphere, or in the stratosphere of, like, I'm not mad, I'm kind of impressed. Like, that's hard to do. But Jalen Hurts to go in there try to pick the football up instead of just smacking it out of bounds or falling on it. Come on, man. Easy stuff. There was some missed throws, and quarterbacks are going to have missed throws. I get that. But there was some situations there late in the game where he ended up coming up clutch, but in one or two instances, the missed throw to Ertz that I know some people will say, oh, Ertz has got to catch that. That's a lot tougher catch to make than it is a throw. It's an easier throw to make than it is a catch to make. When you're sitting in the pocket, they're only rushing 4 on this particular play on the 4th and 4, I believe it was. And he's got to put it in his chest, basically, or at least give it an opportunity to catch that ball, not make him flail his hands out and just barely touch it before he brought it in. That's a throw he has to make. The other is missing Quez Watkins that I actually think he explained well. It was before the half, and you saw him, the camera got a great shot of him with his hands on his helmet going, oh, man, what the hell? And it was because we thought, at least at the time, that was because he had Quez Watkins running down the sideline wide open when he went on the underneath route to Zach Ertz. He said after the game, if he throws that ball to Quez Watkins and he gets tackled at the 5-yard line, time runs out, no field goal, no points. But if he hits Zach Ertz, which ended up going for on this particular play, if he hits Zach Ertz, then you still have the opportunity with him going out of bounds to kick a field goal, which they did 58 yards. Good hustle to you, Jake Elliott. So as this entire game goes on, you're dissecting everything that Jalen Hurts is doing. But ultimately, what he will be graded on in this game is making the plays he needed to make to have his team win this football game. Was he put in good field position by a block punt? Certainly. Was he there for 4 full quarters of football? No. But if you pull it out in the clutch like he did in this game, that's the guy that you could always refer to, here's the phrase, as a gamer. It wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. Nick Sirianni even acknowledged after the game, hey, you're going to have ugly wins in the NFL. This is an ugly win. Well, as long as that statement ends with a win, you should be fine with it. Whether or not it inspires confidence for the rest of the schedule, for the rest of the season, yet to be determined. The fact that they won this game, a game I felt they should win because of the schedule they have coming up. Like, think about this for a second. This drove me crazy yesterday, and I always hate this. So just know, if you tweet me this at some point, know that you have inspired a rage and a fury within me that is unmatched. Zach Ertz got interfered with on a ball on I believe it was a 3rd and 5. And Zach Ertz had Bouye on his back. And this is a weird thing. I know a lot of times you can look at contact before the ball as automatic pass interference. That always hasn't been the case, at least not anymore. A lot of times I see referees or analysts explain that away by saying, oh, he's reaching and he's making contact, but he's allowed that contact because he's going for the ball up front. Okay. And a perfect example of that was a play later in the game, actually. I think it was on Dallas Goedert. No, it was on Devontae Smith, where there was contact before the hit, but the defensive back was going for the ball, so no pass interference. But this particular play, Bouye had Zach Ertz's arm pinned down to the point where he couldn't raise it to make a play. And he wasn't going for the ball. He was pinning his arm down. And I just tweeted out, should have been pass interference, arm was pinned down. And like some people were, like a couple people like argued with me, but that's fine because they're wrong. But anyway, the other people were like, does it even matter? Who cares? Whatever. Just know that if you're watching a football game and essentially watching it with me because we're all on Twitter together in one big happy social media digital family, and you tweet me that, just know you've inspired a rage in me that makes me want to yell, curse, and scream at you as I'm trying to watch a football game. Because then why are you watching? Why are you following? Why even root for a team if you're just going to look at any game like, oh, who cares? Seriously? So that's something I had to get off my chest. But when you do look at this schedule, and you look at the fact that, and I'll read it off to you, you got Tampa coming to town, obviously, this Thursday night. Quick turnaround, as they say. Then you go to Vegas. Then you go to Detroit, who sucks, but still, you're on the road, so nothing's ever easy on the road. And then you go to, then you host the Chargers, and then you go to Denver, and then you go to New Orleans. Not exactly the easiest schedule in the world, but if you're going to be facing Tampa, if you're going to be facing Vegas, if you're going on the road to Detroit, if you're going to be hosting a Chargers team that's pretty damn good at football, look at the way they battled the Browns yesterday in that crazy game. 80-plus points scored in that game. And then Denver, whose defense is just playing, they're just phenomenal defense. And then you host the Saints, who should be in win as far as I'm concerned. But then that's when you start getting back into the NFC East and also face the Jets. You got the Giants, Jets, Washington, Giants, Washington, Dallas to end the season. Stealing this win is huge for the rest of the season. So if you're telling me specifically in this particular game, oh, so what's it matter? Well, it matters huge because the front half of the schedule is supposed to be very difficult. So you got to go out there and you got to win as many of these games as possible. Steal wins as many wins as possible. So yes, it matters. When you're talking about potentially trying to notch yourself 9 wins, when you're talking about potentially looking at this NFC East and realizing that last year a 7-win team won it, then yeah, I'll go ahead and say a game against the Panthers in October matters. Anyway, I'm done with that. Moving on. TJ Edwards had the block punt, definitely on the list in the positive angle. Devontae Smith has to get stronger with the football. That fumble should never happen. I noticed after that, and this is another thing with Devontae Smith. You ever notice his catches come in bursts? Like we say it all the time in baseball about like a power hitter. Ryan Howard hits his home run in bunches. Hits his home runs in bunches. Bryce Harper hits his home runs in bunches. Breeze Hoskins hits his home runs in bunches. Devontae Smith seems to get his catches in bunches. It seems like if Jalen Hurts hits him once, the next like 5 plays are to Devontae Smith. And let me just say this, as someone who really likes Devontae Smith, I'm fine with it. But if he is going to be a go-to guy at any point throughout a game, especially in consecutive plays as many times as he has been, you got to be stronger with the football. Whether that be not allowing, Diggs in Dallas to knock the ball out of his hands on a pass across the middle, or that be a play like yesterday where the ball gets punched out. I noticed after his fumble yesterday, he had 2 hands on the football at all times after every other catch, and man, he had that thing tight. So that was good to see. After that, learn from the mistake. Jalen Hurts went up after him. Darius Slay went up to him after him and say, hey, man, you got the next one. You're a playmaker. You're a playmaker for a long time in this league. You got plenty of these coming. Good on you. So that's great to see that kind of team bond throughout the entire squad. That's awesome. Defensive line, I said, was going to be huge going into this game because they had to make Sam Darnold nervous. Sam Darnold looked terrified in this game. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Josh Sweat getting in on the action as well. His maturation process continues throughout this season. Love seeing that. And here is a name I have never said with any ounce of adulation. Jannard Avery, ladies and gentlemen, had himself a ball game. Getting into the backfield, setting the edge. And what I've been saying since Brandon Graham wasn't here, who's going to set the edge? Jannard Avery came into this game, set the edge and more throughout this football game. And he had one great play where he set the edge, where he got, I think it was Hubbard, down on the ground. And then out of nowhere, a guy who I really like, Alex Singleton, hits him while he's on the ground, gets a penalty. So the Eagles make a great play and it gets wiped away by a penalty. Heard that one before. So throughout this game, I thought the defensive line, for the most part, the linebackers played better than what we had seen, obviously, last week against the Chiefs. Still not great, but still good. They're far from great, but still okay. I won't even say good. I'll say okay. But the defensive line is really where I thought this team flourished yesterday. And you got Sam Darnold so nervous so early. You saw the bad throw he made that Darius Slay went up and just took that ball out of the sky for his first interception. Eagles couldn't, unfortunately, catch it in for a touchdown because of yet again another wide receiver penalty that I mentioned earlier. This one on Greg Ward. Good times. And then he had another one later in the game that actually set you up for some points. So that was something that you needed to see in this game. The defense take the ball away. Steven Nelson had a huge interception in this game that really sealed the deal for the Eagles offense. They came on the field, took care of business, with the exception of Miles Sanders running out of bounds. Fletcher Cox did have a lot of one-on-one battles, was double-teamed. I noticed a lot more in this particular game. That did open up things, in particular for Javon Hargrave. And then you also look at the way Fletcher Cox played in one-on-one battles and double teams. The fire was lit. And the fire had been lit starting last week when myself, my buddy Derek Gunn, and we had two different people on this show throughout last week in Gary Cobb, my man G Cobb, as well as, what did we call him? Disco Tank. Hollis Thomas say that it's a lack of motivation for Fletcher Cox as to why he's not getting after the quarterback, why he's not getting into the backfield. This game, he was highly motivated, and I have no doubt about it. It had a lot to do with a lot of the criticism that he heard throughout the week. You can even hear Fletcher getting frustrated in his media session last week with the way people were asking him about how he's not getting into the backfield. So I love to see him at least responding in that game. So that was great, especially with him getting his first sack. Great to see that. Those were some great things. I mentioned also Avonte Maddox. Jonathan Gannon throughout this game. Look, all you can do is put your players in the best possible position. Players, to their credit, they took full responsibility, and they say, well, this time we were just in better position and we made the play. Really didn't have to do much with tweaking. It didn't really have much to do with Jonathan Gannon's scheme being any different. All it really was us actually making plays. We were in a spot. We were in a position. We were in a spot to make plays, so we made plays. Also, I just want to say one more time, TJ Edwards, the game-defining play, blocking that punt. After the game, TJ Edwards came out to address the media. He was one of the people that got a media session, and he had said that was his first block punt he's ever had. No better time than the present there, TJ Edwards. Good hustle to you. Second, he said earlier in the game, the punt coverage they had, the way they lined up, they noticed something that if they ran this particular punt block, they would have success. So kudos to the special teams unit for actually realizing that and then exploiting it later in the game when, again, it mattered most. They were able to come up with a huge block in that particular play, and it changed the tides of the game. The Eagles get their second win of the season. They now go into a very tough game on a short week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady comes out after the game with his throwing hand wrapped. Yeah, so what? It happened apparently early in the game, and he threw 5 touchdown passes. So I know some people might say, hey, Tom Brady did that thumb thing. Maybe it won't be. Yeah, maybe it won't be, but he'll be fine. So the Eagles have a short turnaround Thursday Night Football coming up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're coming to South Philadelphia. We all know how Tom Brady gets a little skittish when he sees the Philadelphia Eagles, and hopefully, I don't know, they were going to move that statue or something like Nick Foles. Maybe they just put that in, put it next to the play clock. That's just my idea. Take the Doug Peterson, Nick Foles statue, put it next to the play clock in Lincoln Financial Field on the field, so that when Tom Brady has to look at the play clock, he has to see that. You want Philly? Yeah, let's do it. And then he thinks of himself dropping the football. Like he did 2 weeks ago when they lost to the Patriots, and he acknowledged that he can't catch footballs because you all saw what happened with the Super Bowl against the Eagles. So we're in Tom Brady's head, which is always fun. That's just my own suggestion. Overall, just a great game by the Eagles defense. Really happy to see what we saw from start to finish. I kept on waiting for the defense can't be this good. I know the Panthers aren't that good, and I know they don't have Christian McCaffrey, but the offense, the defense can't be this good, right? And they were, start to finish in this football game. Start to finish. One of the things I do want to get into here with Miles Sanders. So I referenced earlier not keeping the ball in play with Jalen Hurts when you have an opportunity to keep the ball in play for a free play. It's very simple. Gun it downfield, give your team an opportunity because it doesn't matter. Ball's coming, whatever. You accept the penalty, ball comes back, you're fine. You get free play. Literally, that's what they call it. How Miles Sanders doesn't stay in bounds at the end of that game is mind-numbing. Mind-numbing. I feel like any 10-year-old who's played Madden knows to stay in bounds and keep the clock running or make Carolina take a timeout. And you saw him with the running backs coach on the sideline, and it reminded me of the scene in the classic movie League of Their Own, When Tom Hanks calls the lady over and he's like, hit the cutoff man. Hit the cutoff man. Hit the cutoff man. Like, it was kind of like that. It's like the most obvious, easiest thing, and he doesn't do it. A rookie had to go in and Kenny Gainwell to make sure that the ball stayed in bounds. Say it again. What the hell, man? What the hell? Coming up, I do want to get into our locker room check-in brought to you by the great people of Rothman Orthopaedics. But right now, I want to tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Here at the Steven Singer Studios, we'll tell you how great Steven Singer is. You know, we don't want to go down the road of I hate this guy, because I can't tell you I hate Steven Singer, but I can tell you why other people hate him. A couple of people hate him. I'll tell you two groups of people that hate him. One, the guy that's been putting off getting engaged, or the lady that's been putting off getting engaged because, it's too expensive. I don't know anything about diamonds. I don't want to get engaged. Steven takes all those excuses out because he makes it the easiest thing in the world. Got a real jewelry expert standing by at the other corner of 8th and Walnut to help you out. And also, he sets you up with the perfect price. And that's why other jewelers are the second group of people that say, I hate Steven Singer. Because it doesn't mark things up wildly just to mark them down in front of you, making you feel like you get some kind of deal, when in reality, you're paying more than you should pay for that particular diamond. Even if you are a great negotiator. Because they marked it up so much. I'll take $500 off. What do you say there, pal? In my head, everyone haggling sounds like a 1940s gangster. So put it there, pal. And there you go. So you go to Steven Singer, you don't have to worry about the coupon. You don't have to worry about the sale, the discount. You don't have to worry about haggling, especially because everything's set at the perfect price every single time, which is why I send you there. I send my friends and family there as well when they're looking for a big jewelry purchase, or they're looking simply to get engaged. The Ready for Love diamond engagement rings are there at the ready for you. So if you really want to get taken care of and know you're getting a great quality at a great price, the perfect price, as a matter of fact, diamond ring or piece of jewelry, go to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Jewelers Row. Over 40 years in Philadelphia, being in the love business. And you know what? I love working with Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Over 40 years taking care of Philadelphia. Visit IHateStevenSinger.com, the other corner of 8th and Walnut. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's get to our Rothman Orthopaedics locker room check-in. This particular instance, we're going to hear from Nick Sirianni. We're also going to hear from Jalen Hurts. First, Nick Sirianni, what did you see from your team in this game that really stuck out to you? Here's Sirianni on that.
Gosh, I just saw the fight all game, and again the dog mentality of it's not going well, but just keep going. Or on defense, it is going well, just keep going. And so I just saw their fight and their next play mentality the entire game. And that's what it's got to be, because it's sometimes you win ugly like that, and that's just the way it is in this league. Matter of keep fighting, keep going, we.
See it. In all honesty, you love to see that, and you love to hear it as well from Nick Sirianni and everything that he talks about when it comes to this locker room, when it comes to this team. And you can talk about how it's not a pretty win. Doesn't look nice, but as long as at the end of the day you're going to the win column and you're going W, you're good to go. And when it comes to inspiring confidence going forward, it helps me a little bit with Jalen Hurts, because he was there at the end to come up in the big moment when needed to come up in the big moment. And when you're a guy who's running the football as many times as he is, you're a guy that's basically the offense of the Eagles, then it's hard for you to go, that Jalen Hurts guy sucks, when he was there when it mattered most. So I love that about him. But when it comes to overall play, yes, he's got to be a lot more consistent than we saw in this particular game. And one of the things Sirianni got into was the conversation he had with Miles Sanders about getting out of bounds when he shouldn't have got out of bounds. And the other thing was Jalen Hurts and just making sure the guy's staying positive throughout this entire game. So let's hear from the man himself. Jalen Hurts after the game talking about, and this is one of the reasons why I'm rooting for this guy so much. Last week against the Chiefs, he had some great numbers. And I played the cut for you last week of him saying he didn't want to talk about it. We lost. Is what he said. He cut the reporter off who was asking the question to go, we lost. You see, we lost the game. So you could talk about the numbers, accolades, whatever you want to talk about with Jalen Hurts. He didn't want to get into it. He just wanted to talk about they lost the game and they got to bounce back. He also said that he usually has a 24-hour rule when it comes to a game like that, when it comes to games in general. Short week, he's only going to go with the 12-hour rule. So I appreciate that. But here's Jalen Hurts when somebody else was, again, looking to praise what he did in this game with as many times as he ran the football, and he didn't want to hear it. Take a listen to this.
No, sir. No, sir. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about how the defense played, how Darius Slay came out, add another, munchkin to the bunch this week. And came out here and got two picks. And Nelson came out here and got a pick in a clutch situation. And one thing I've always been preaching, look, we control the outcome of everything. And that's the mentality you want to have. But I believe truly we got to have each other's back through everything. And today, we had each other's backs. It was a complete team win. You see special teams making the plays they're making, defense making the plays they're making. We had each other's backs.
He comes out in this particular game. Here are the numbers: 22 of 37 for 198. Just almost 5.5 yards per attempt, which is terrible. One interception thrown in this game. He had a quarterback rating of 62.7. But 9 runs, 30 yards, 2 touchdowns. The touchdown run that he had that actually gave him the lead was incredible. But more so on that, that's the exact reason why you can't ignore or abandon the run. 3 different defensive players for Carolina went with Miles Sanders on that play because they had actually run the ball leading up to that point. They were 33 passes to 10 runs on that particular drive when it started. And then they got the run game going, even with Jalen Hurts running the football, and they made them think about running the ball with Miles Sanders. Because they made them think about running the ball with Miles Sanders, and because they ran the ball in a similar situation last week with Kenny Gainwell, what did they look for? They looked for the halfback draw. And you know what they did? They covered the halfback draw. And you know what Jalen Hurts did? Kept that football, ran to the outside, scored the touchdown, gave the Eagles a lead. That's why you still run the football. Don't ignore it. Don't abandon it, because you want to make sure that the defense is still thinking, they might run here, and then they'll go cover that. That's exactly what they did on that particular play. So that's the one thing I will say about Nick Sirianni's game plan, or at least his play calling. One thing I'll say nice about it is that on that drive, it was actually well executed. Good hustle to those guys. When it comes to everything else surrounding this game, when it comes to everything else offensively, Jalen Hurts was your offense. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. Another solid game from Devontae Smith, minus that awful fumble that we all know about. But everything else later in that game, he really helped them push through it. But I can't go back to it enough. Jalen Hurts saying, yeah, that's great. Numbers are fine. But did you see the way the defense played? And Nick Sirianni said the same thing after the game. It was all about how the defense played this game and kept the Eagles' offense in it. The defense kept him in it. Special teams made the biggest play of the game. And then Jalen Hurts late in the game was able to capitalize on it with his offense. So that to me, hey, look, not a pretty 3 quarters. You're feeling real bad about this game 3 quarters into it. But once push came to shove in the 4th quarter, you saw this team really start to get things done, which is very much a sight for sore eyes as far as this game goes overall. Was there anyone else I wanted to praise? No, I think I got it. I was looking at it. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 plays. 8 players. Defensive players I've mentioned. So like basically the whole defense. But one player I mentioned in a negative light earlier that I didn't want to shed a positive light on. Late in this game, there was a run to the outside. I want to say it was on a 3rd and 2 situation for the Carolina Panthers. And Alex Singleton did not have his best game. He led the team in tackles, and that's fine. That's, again, numbers don't lie, but they can deceive. He didn't have his best game by far. But there was a situation where I think you saw 10 players, 10 Eagles in the shot, in the frame. It wasn't an all-22, so you couldn't see the 11th men of the 11th defender for the Eagles. So I assume he was deep, if not on the far right side of the field, or if you're watching the game on the bottom of your TV. There was a play run to the outside by Hubbard, who broke it outside. Alex Singleton came out of nowhere and went over and made the tackle on the outside. If he doesn't hustle to get on the other side of the line or get on the other side of the field and make that tackle, I think that's another huge play for the Carolina Panthers and potentially a game icing play, because it was late in the game at that point. you were still down, and you had Alex Singleton go over to the other side of the field to make that stop. He doesn't make that stop. I think you're looking at potentially going down 21-10 at that point. And at that point in the game, I didn't think the Eagles were going to come back from that, but they were still able to come back. Possibly certainly a touchdown saving play, potentially game saving play by Alex Singleton that he made late in the game. I know we hate giving credit to linebackers, but he made a play on that particular play, so good for him. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about the great people at Rothman Orthopaedics, as that concludes our Rothman Orthopaedics locker room check-in. Later, oh, by the way, one more thing, or two more things. Darius Slay and his 2 interceptions, still not his best game as an Eagle. He said he's had plenty of games where he's taken wide receivers out of the game and they don't even look his way, and those have been better games for him, so kudos to him. Also, the guy had a baby this week. Him and his wife had I believe, their second kid this week. Congratulations to them on that. So he said he was through Zoom conferences and through calls and stuff like that. He credited his teammates. He told them before the game, guys, look, I wasn't able to prep as much as I wanted to for this game, so I'm relying on all yous guys. He didn't say yous guys, but that's what we would say in that situation. So he said, I'm relying on all yous guys. And they helped him out, and he helped them out in return by making 2 big interceptions. So credit to Darius Slay for that. Credit to Slay for that. And then Jordan Mailata, look, he got burnt on 2 speed rush. Well, one was a speed rush. Both times he got beat by Hassan Reddick for his fifth and a half, and 6th and a half sacks, up there with the league leaders if he's not leading now. At least he's maybe tied with Javon Hargrave. But he got beat on those 2 rushes, playing the right side of the line of scrimmage, which he's not used to playing. But he goes out there, and after the game, he says, hey, whatever the team needs to do, I'll do. Exactly the attitude you want to hear. Then you also hear him talk about Jalen Hurts. And after he allowed the 2 sacks, Jalen Hurts says, next play. And Jordan Mailata goes, next play. As in, so that happened. It's done. It's over with. Can't do anything about it. Next play. Love that mindset. And then Jordan Mailata gets asked about Jalen Hurts and kind of just like, what's he like? What was he like on the sideline? What was he like in practice? What's he like as a leader on this football team? What's he like as the guy in the huddle and all that? And Jordan Mailata says he's all bark and no bite. Or excuse me. I just messed up a great quote. It's a beautiful quote. I'm a big dumb idiot, aren't I, folks? Anyway. Try this again. Take 2. It's a live show. Jordan Mailata says he's all bite and no bark. Jordan Mailata says Jalen Hurts is all bite and no bark. He talks the talk without he walks the walk. Damn it! He walks the walk without talking the talk. Like, it's not a matter of what he's saying, it's a matter of what he's doing. He lets his actions speak far louder than his words. And the way he put it was so poetic for 2 reasons. One, he didn't mess it up like I did, and the other, he's got that Australian accent, so it sounded better. So you love hearing that from another young player, talking about another young player, about the mindset that a quarterback has in this particular guy. It's just another reason why, again, I'm going to have harsh criticism, real criticism. I'm never going to go out of my way to simply just criticize the guy. It's always going to be fair. It's going to be what happened in a football game. But I'm rooting hard for Jalen Hurts for so many reasons. One, for the way his teammates respond to him. The other, for his just mental fortitude and mental toughness. And the other is, you always want to believe that you have the quarterback of the future already on the roster so you can start addressing other things. And hopefully that's the case right now in Philadelphia. By the way, speaking about the quarterback of the future, remember that other guy that was the quarterback of the future, that Carson Wentz guy? He plays tonight, Monday Night Football, against the Ravens. So hope he plays well and hope he plays all the snaps. And that's that. Let me tell you about the good people at Rothman Orthopaedics, because they're pretty awesome. When you have orthopedic issues, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them in one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Want to get the advantage over your sports book? Do what I do. Download the BetQL app. You got to download the BetQL app. Do all your research. It's right there for the taking, and make the smart bets. That's how you get the edge over your sportsbook. Their Best Bets computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports, and it gives you the reasoning behind why you should place that bet. Their model covers everything from point spreads, over-unders, player props as well. You don't want the model, you don't want to use their model, prefer to do your own research. BetQL has all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineups, injuries, breaking news, as well as leaderboards to make sure you can track your own success. Head to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download the BetQL app. Steak and Maine, steakandmaine.com for more information. You know how much I love this place. Was enjoying a nice succulent 2-pound tomahawk steak just a week ago. Delicious. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine at a more upscale steakhouse there or their casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that and an extensive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines, open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland voted #1 place in America for steaks. That's pretty good. #1 place in America for steaks. That's voted by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. So I think they know a thing or two about steaks. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmaine.com for more information. How about our friends at WinView doing an incredible job? They're awesome. I have so much fun on this app. You can challenge your friends in this. It's so much fun. It's not a gaming site. It's a social playing site is what it is. It's not a sports book. It's just a way to have fun, put a little skin in the game for yourself. So you could bet on a Monday night football game, a Thursday night football game. If your friends, if they talk the talk without walking the walk, guess what? Make them try to walk the walk and challenge them. If they think they know so much, challenge them to something on WinView and win yourself some money. You can win great cash prizes as well. Put an extra layer of competition in your fantasy football league as well. For instance, right now, I don't want to brag or nothing, but I'm up 146-54 in my fantasy game today. I'm going to win. But you know what? The guy I'm playing in my league, maybe he wants to make it a little bit more interesting. Want to win something on the side? WinView. Boom. Just like that. Download the WinView app right now and have yourself a time. Let's jump in now to our social media check-in. Oh, let me also mention our good friends at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's check it in with everyone here. April, good morning. April's down in Carolina. She says them there Panthers fans are pretty quiet today. So that's nice. Good morning, Kevin. Saying good morning to everybody. Mally, what's popping? April, hello again. Panthers fans punching the air. That's pretty nice, nice there, PJ. April, I'm so glad you can have a peaceful day at work. That's good. That's what Mally says to April. That's nice. Haha, I forgot it's a random bank holiday, but it'll be quiet the rest of the week. Is today a bank holiday? No banks today? Okay. What else do we have here? Dan Schwartz, what's happening? Great comeback win. Can't stand Sirianni's play calling. It's screen. So I think they screen. I think they have to run the screen. That's me ad-libbing the screen, not Dan saying that. But just I can't take it either as far as there was a lot of creativity in this game. Like there was pre-snap motion, but it didn't do anything. The pre-snap motion that I saw them come out against the Kansas City Chiefs with, I'm like, yeah, that's it. Speed. Use your speed. Instead of keeping guys in motion in the backfield and running out wheel routes, whatever it might have been, guys in the flat, it was just motion, stop, stagnant, play starts. So it was only really done to see if the defense was in zone or man-to-man coverage, which is why you do a lot of motion. But where was the creativity behind that? And I'll just say this one more time. Like, I made this a big point on the post-game show yesterday with Derek Gunn and Devin Caney. And Nick Sirianni was a wide receiver. Nick Sirianni was a wide receivers coach. Nick Sirianni has been an offensive coach while he's been in the NFL for, 13 years? How in the holy hell do these wide receivers keep making mistakes? Whether it's running out of bounds, not setting up properly when they start their route, whether it's dropping a pass, whether it's a fumble in a football, whether it's a rub route that they can't execute to save their life to take a touchdown off the board. How is it wide receivers continuously making problems? Like Nick Sirianni showing these guys Allen Iverson highlights? How about saying, hey, guys, here's how you block. And then you don't see J.J. Arcega-Whiteside extend his arm. That's a penalty. Takes a touchdown off the board. You don't see Greg Ward go out there and try to tackle somebody in the end zone. Like, Greg, you've been in the league long enough. Can't do that. And it takes another touchdown off the board. Wide receivers, if anyone should be technically sound, any position group should be technically sound, other than Jeff Stoutland's offensive line, which got no problems, it should be the wide receivers. Damn it, man. Aaron Moorhead's supposed to be a really good wide receivers coach. They kept him on the roster. They kept him on the coaching staff after Doug Peterson was let go. Why'd they do that? Because he's supposed to be good at his job. And the guy evaluating if he's good enough for his job, if whether it's Howie Roseman or Nick Sirianni, I think Nick Sirianni would have something to say about it. You would think it would be the least of your worries. The little technical things you would think these wide receivers would be flawless at, and not so much. Anyway, so that's that tangent. James, what's up, James? What's happening? All right, I think James just summed it up really well. Good morning. Great win. Terrible game. That's a great way to put it. Thank you, James. That's a great way to put it. Let's see. Jalen PR is amazing. What did I miss? If they would have lost this game, I might have killed someone. If I had to hear about dog mentality. That's a good point, Dan. I would have punched a wall. I don't know about homicide, but I would have punched a wall. April's like, yeah, Dan, absolutely. James, wait. I still need Marc with the handlebar wrestling an alligator and definitely need a weather girl this morning. That's from Mally. James says, wait, there was a game plan? I don't even know if there was, to be honest with you. If there was, it sucked. Ray's checking in. Brady's coming in with revenge from that Super Bowl loss and a big difference between him and what the Eagles just played against at quarterback. All good points. All good points. But just stick with me here one more time. You take the statue of Doug and Nick Foles and you put it next to the play clock. And every time Brady has to look at the play clock, he's got to see that in his head. In his head. 7 would be a good number of wins. James, okay, I'll go with that. Dan, Brady would have to go to Chicago and pull it. I love this reference. Brady would have to go to Chicago and pull a Tanya Harding on Fields. Fields and Dalton to have a chance at revenge he wants. That's true. That ain't going to happen, though. Because Nick Foles is the third quarterback. So, okay. All right. That would have to go on a Harding spree then. I guess you would call that. I always thought Galuli was the guy that hit Nancy Kerrigan. But that was the boyfriend, right? Some other guy that did the other thing. Let me just say, as a way crazy aside, and again, my Family Guy idiot brain, this is one of the things I enjoy about hanging out with cameramen so much. And when I was working behind the scenes on Sunday Night Football, obviously I got to know a lot of cameramen. And this guy, Jeff Zachary, who was the Steadicam operator. So he was the guy that if you saw like Jalen Hurts scrambles in for a touchdown or Carson Wentz, you see him, you see the real close shot of everybody celebrating in the end zone. That's Jeff Zachary running in with the Steadicam, getting the camera in the face of the players. So I'm sitting down. We were in Miami, as a matter of fact. This is years ago. And we were sitting down and we're enjoying our post-game meal. And somehow the Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding thing got brought up. And this guy, Jeff Zachary, like that, Joe Smith. And I was like, what? He goes, Joe Smith. Joe Smith was the cameraman that was assigned to shoot skating warm-ups at like the championship, the USA Skating Championship where that happened. And he was filming the ice skaters, the figure skaters just skating around, warming up. And all of a sudden he heard a whack and a crack. And he turned around and he got that famous shot of why me of Nancy Kerrigan, And it all started with a guy just filming pregame skate, turned around, boom, that's how we got it. In pre-social media days is all because of this guy. His name wasn't Joe Smith, but it was just like that. Jeff just was like, oh yeah, Joe Smith. Like the guy, like what these guys see first before it's out there is just incredible. That's why I always tell people, if you're not talking to media or ex-players, talk to ushers, talk to cameramen. Camera people. They know everything. Anyway, that's just, again, Family Guy brain. Sorry. Let's see here. April. They keep making mistakes because they aren't worried about discipline from the coach. Well, you know what? Here's one of the things that they also got into in the postgame press conference. I wasn't able to load this for some dumb reason. But anyway, Nick Sirianni, after the game, was asked about the hard conversations that he has after games. And there was a report that came out about Nick Sirianni really laying into Jonathan Gannon after just a piss-poor performance against the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, well, look, we can talk about how well the defense played in this game and whether or not they improved. And they did. Bottom line is they did improve. However, they also didn't face Patrick Mahomes. So that makes things a little bit easier. Not only did they not face Patrick Mahomes, they faced Sam Darnold, who, although was off to a good start, is still not he's not a great quarterback by any means. So this particular game, Jonathan Gannon responds well, and his players get his back. Fletcher Cox plays motivated football, gets into the backfield, and constantly that defensive line kept Sam Darnold under pressure to make mistakes to the point where he threw 3 interceptions. That is exactly what you want to see from your defense. Even if you're not getting home, make sure that quarterback is uncomfortable. And that's what they did throughout this game. Now, Nick Sirianni said that, yeah, sure, they had an uncomfortable conversation. They had a harsh conversation with one another as a head coach and play caller to a defensive coordinator and defensive play caller. They had a very harsh, tough conversation. And he goes, but hey, look, they won this game. And they're still going to have harsh conversations about the way the offense played. They're going to have uncomfortable conversations about the way the offense played. He was quick to praise and made the defense the number 1 star of the game afterwards when he acknowledged how well they played and kept this team in it. But he also said, yeah, guess what? This week, the harsh conversations are coming right here because my offense was not ready to go in this game. More or less what he said afterwards. And you know what? Okay, that's honesty. That's holding yourself accountable. That's great. Come out against the Buccaneers and show us something. Keep the good vibes going on this short week. Brady and the Bucs got to come here. He's a little banged up. Again, 5 touchdown passes. How banged up can he be? And he comes into South Philadelphia now to face this team, obviously on the road. If they're able to make Tom Brady uncomfortable, and you say it every single game of Tom Brady's career, make him uncomfortable, get in the backfield. If they can get to Tom Brady, they have a chance of winning. Well, hey, offensive line. Hey, defensive line. If you're going to play the way you played against Carolina, you got a shot at winning this game. On the post-game show yesterday, I talked about it with Gunnar and Devin, and I said, what has to happen? Let's keep the good vibes going here after a win. What has to happen in this particular game? The Eagles will have a chance to beat the Buccaneers if, and my if was the defensive line dominates. It's the only way they win. Look, Tom Brady being hurt. Sure, let's look at that as maybe he's not 100%. Great. I ain't betting on that one. Safer bet for me is looking at this defensive line saying they get after it. They take that, they control what they can control and control the line of scrimmage. Good things are going to happen. You're going to have a chance to win this team. The Eagles have a chance to win based on how their defensive line can play. You have one of the best sackers in the league right now, Javon Hargrave. You have a guy that hopefully is about to hit his stride in Fletcher Cox. You have a guy like Josh Sweat who's actually able to, can keep on maturing as the season has gone on, to keep on getting in the backfield. And hell, Jannard Avery just had himself a good game. Anything's possible. So let's hope that's the case. If the Eagles are going to have a chance in this game, it's going to be because the defensive line's playing well. If they have a chance to win this game, it's going to be because the way the defensive line's playing. So let's keep our fingers crossed for that one. April also says maybe a rock, paper, scissors. There we go. A real aggressive paper. Damn you. Horrifying, Dan. You're right. Horrifying. Thanks everyone that checked in our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's get into our Morning Rush segment. Morning Rush segment brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Ladies and gentlemen, so much to get to here. Real quick, 76ers still trying to figure things out without Ben Simmons. Still looking to see what they could do as far as their point guard position goes. I'm still rooting Tyrese Maxey wins that outright. Sixers are back in action tonight, 8 o'clock tip-off. It's going to be on ESPN2 against the Brooklyn Nets. So pay attention to that. After that, they got one more preseason game coming up. That's Friday. So make sure you guys are staying up to date on all that fun stuff. 8 o'clock tip-off tonight in Brooklyn for their Monday night game tonight. The Flyers are off till, I believe, Thursday night. Is it Thursday night or Friday night? They play Vancouver Canucks And they're going to be looking to get things underway in their regular season opener as they host the Canucks. So that's fun and exciting. So the Flyers will get things started this week. So I look forward to that. Monday Night Football, I already mentioned it in terms of, Friday night they play the Vancouver Canucks to start off the season. I already mentioned it, but Monday Night Football, Colts, Ravens. It's been 16 matchups, I think they faced each other since the Ravens came into the league. And the Colts left in 83 in the Mayflower trucks, whatever. So I believe the Colts have the slight edge in that, and we'll see if the Ravens put them down tonight. Again, all I'm rooting for is that Carson Wentz plays well and plays all the snaps, and we can all be better people. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody. Much appreciated. Hey, guess what? If you want more of me, I'll be back on Fox 29 again today, 7:45 hit with my good friends Mike Jarek. And Alex Holly, I think, is on. I think she's back. She's been like in Rome, just living life, man, having herself a good time, as according to her social media. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning, obviously, for a Happy Hughes Day. Hugh will be with us. He's moving, essentially, which is why he couldn't come on with us last week. So we'll talk to Hugh. And then we'll also preview this Buccaneers game coming up as well. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jim Hyden produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzetta. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Much appreciated, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.